underquoting. Now, New South Wales Fair Trading have been out and about, and a couple of months ago, and they did a full compliance inspection. Now, the bit of the snapshot that comes from that is that they did 87 inspections in the month of June, and 15 of those were undercover. So they were actually looking at things without letting the agents know what they were actually looking at. Now, 45 of the 87 inspections were done on previously non-compliant agents and agencies. And 66% of those, so 66% of those 45 were now found to be compliant. That still left a number of agents who hadn't fixed up their act from last being told. So the 50 agents that were out of the 87 that were inspected were fined, received fines for the underquoting rules. And the most common one there is the lack of written records for verbal price representations. Now, we've had this legislation since January 2016, and the written record of verbal representations has always been, an issue for every agent going, what about when I have phone calls? You've got to work that out. You've got to work out what your system is, whether you take a voice message onto your phone and put it through later, whether you, next time you pull up, if you're driving, that you mark that down, that you put it onto a voice to text onto your phone or through to your database system, or however it is you deal with it. Work out the easiest way of keeping those records, because you need to keep a register for that. So that's really important. Some of the fines or the penalties related to unreasonable estimates of selling prices. So, they're also looking at your comparative market analysis that you're doing there. And, that all falls into, the licensee failing to follow the rules of conduct and the supervision guidelines, because it's all in there about your price quoting, your market appraisals, and how you keep your records around that. So, guys, really, really important to make sure that, you're covering off on that. That whilst 50 agents were found non-compliant, I think 28 were actually fined. There was some hefty fines that went in there, and there was a dozen or so verbal warnings. So, those ones with verbal warnings or fines, I guess can probably expect a visit from Fair Trading at some time in the future. So if they're coming back, so any breach of this, it's a $2,200, off we go. So, depending on, what else they're finding there, you really just don't want to go down that path. So, remembering, I don't think we need to go through the rules of underquoting yet again, but, it's about the clarity. It's about, the 10% range when we're talking about residential properties. It's about not talking about offers over. So, you don't have to put a price on it. You think about auction properties. It's, you don't have to put a price on it, but it's about what you've written on your agency agreement and not varying from that unless you actually make an amendment to your opinion of price. Okay, so that's all very, very in there. Heaps of information about underquoting on the Fair Trading website. Heaps of information from us. If you want some more, we can always send you out lots of printed information about underquoting and how to make sure you get that right. What are Fair Trading focusing on now? They're focusing on the rent bidding issue. It's such a big issue. Everybody's talking about the rental crisis. Every agent is dealing with it from either people are selling their investment properties. People are not. The property managers are dealing with trying to find properties for people and not having enough properties to rent, or having way too many people looking at the properties. And, we're all still concerned about what changes will be made to residential tenancy laws in the coming months and year. So, because we're expecting some changes based on some of the consultation that has occurred in the last little while. So make sure that your ads have prices on them, that you are not talking about it, advertising that there can be, that tenants can pay more, or you can't be asking for, additional rent on top of what you're advertising. Obviously, a tenant can offer it. You cannot ask for it. You cannot suggest that that might be a good way to go.